bring it to the shores of America. We have an article coming out in tomorrow's New York Post where we give you the stats. We've had 82 ISIS suspects arrested in America in a 20-month period, and of those, a full 30% had no intention of going to Iraq or to Syria to fight. They had decided to kill Americans on U.S. soil. As a result, don't wait for Uncle Sam to protect you. Every American has a duty and a responsibility to be aware of the threat and be prepared to protect themselves.
That was my message. Oh my gosh, 6 years ago, when I was with Megyn Kelly on Fox News. It's so great when you haven't seen somebody for a while and you want to see them and they say yes. And she's with us today. She says, just introduce me as a journalist. She's much more than that. She's the host of the Megyn Kelly Show. It's been far too long. Welcome to America First, Megyn.
It is so good to see you. That brings back such, well, I shouldn't say fun memories, but it kind of was fun. We had fun on the Kelly File with you.
You were a great host. I did a couple of hits with you remotely and then from your New York studio. Since then, lots of things have happened in my world, in your world. You have gone from Fox to NBC and now carved out, I love the name, I was looking up your production company, Devil May Care, fabulous. And you've kind of carved out a niche for yourself in this insane polarized media environment that I think a lot of us can envy. Let me tell our listeners, our viewers, our millions of listeners and viewers, the people who are watching us live streaming on YouTube as well, what's special about the way Megyn does it. So you were not too long ago on our buddy Dave Rubin's show, and it's a 30-second clip, but it is some of the best quote-unquote analysis, it's beyond journalism, I've heard in a long time. Eric, play cuts.
I think one of the sad things, but the realities over the past 25 years is the Republicans have shown themselves to be very good at winning elections, maybe not in this particular case for the White House, but in general, they win elections and very bad at fighting the culture wars. And it's unfortunate because now the Democrats control the media, Hollywood, academia, big tech, and half the country doesn't feel represented at all in almost all of the information that comes back to them publicly.
Megyn Kelly, a legacy journalist, a member of the mainstream media, won't even use the phrase culture war. Kudos to you for making that observation. How did you come to it? Is it a recent revelation for you, or is it something that you've noticed over time? Talk to us about your experience and how you came to that conclusion.
Well, I mean, I was never sort of a PC gal, and I always objected. I almost wrote, my first book was almost called Cupcake Nation, because I could see what was happening to the country, and I was really getting kind of disgusted by it. And now it's that on steroids. Just the past couple of years, wokeism has it's become alive and well and taken over virtually all of our institutions. And that underscores how many of our outlets the left controls. And I really think it's dangerous. And I've been thinking about it a lot in the wake of what happened at the Capitol. Because right now, of course, you're seeing everybody like Trump. And yes, Trump and his surrogates said some incendiary things prior to, more his surrogates than him. But the left is not taking any responsibility for how those people got to that place where there's no trust in government institutions. They don't know where to turn for facts. And there's been no reflection by the media, by Democrats on, Russiagate and a first BS impeachment, and the media spinning them for 4 years on how everything Trump did was an 11, everything was bad, and people turned off. They said, I don't trust these people. They hate conservatives. They hate Trump. They hate Republicans. Why would I go to them for my news? And it's become a real problem because those institutions have completely sacrificed their credibility, and now people, I think, are a little untethered for where they go for real news.
I get these texts, I get these DMs every single day, and there's always at least a couple that say, I don't know where to turn for the facts. That's why I'm here. I think that's why you're doing what you're doing. Follow her. She's only got millions of followers on Twitter. It's Megyn Kelly. Listen to her. It's the Megyn Kelly Show. She is one of the brave individuals who's creating a new niche for truth tellers, and we need a lot more like her. She'll be back with us momentarily. I'm Sebastian Gorka, former strategist to President Trump, host of America First on the Salem Radio Network, coming to you from just outside the insalubrious, fetid swamp that is Washington, D.C. from the ReliefFactor.com. As former Deputy Assistant to President Donald Trump, I have briefed the President of the United States on critical threats. Let me brief you on a critical threat to your finances. Your savings in the bank or in stocks and bonds are simply entries stored on a very vulnerable electrical grid on a third-party server. What happens if we see banks fail or our electric grid is successfully attacked? There is a way to own profitable investments privately. Do what I did. Discover how Midas Gold Group can bring you financial security today.
This is America First with Sebastian Gorka.
She started in the swamp with my buddies at WJLA. I just found that out today. It's a small, small world. She's a qualified attorney. And the coolest thing about Megyn Kelly is not her ace reportage. It's as a child born in 1970 who grew up under Maggie Thatcher. One of her kids is called Thatcher. And I do hope that is because of the great Margaret Thatcher. But we won't ask. We'll just leave it out there. Follow her right now, the host of the Megyn Kelly Show. Download the podcast, subscribe to it, check her out on YouTube. Also follow her at Megyn Kelly on Twitter. Megyn, You know me. You cut me, and I bleed conservatism. My dad escaped from a communist political prison in the 1956 Hungarian Revolution. So I can't get that out of my blood. I grew up under Thatcher, so I supported MAGA. I went into the White House, but even for a second, I was with the president today at Andrews Air Force Base where we bid him farewell. Then I watched the inauguration speech. And I was just waiting for that 10-second attempt where the incoming president would have said, "It stops now. We're not going to demonize Americans because of their skin color. We're not going to say the National Guard is 90% white males, therefore they're a domestic threat. And we're not going to have a cancel culture on anybody who votes Republican." Am I dreaming? Are we condemned for the next 4 years to see even more cancel culture? As somebody who's in the bloodstream of the media, what should we prepare for?
I don't know if I'm in the bloodstream anymore, but I've certainly spent a lot of years in it. And I do think we are in for that. I think, Chris Wallace was saying that the Joe Biden speech was the most, it was like the greatest he's ever heard.
We played
and the most unifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, look, I appreciate the politics doesn't always have to be a blood sport, that kind of thing. That's fine, that's good messaging. But the race sort of messaging throughout, which is divisive, it's very divisive, just telegraphed to his supporters and everybody that they're going to double and triple down on this. I mean, we're stuck with this narrative about white supremacy and about all Trump supporters being essentially Klansmen. That is what they believe, not just from them, but from the media. And I really think, that if people don't start standing up and challenging this, and I know it's easy for you and me, we have platforms, we have microphones, but I mean civilians, regular people need to start standing up and saying, just stop. I'm not going to let you do that to me, to my company, to my country. I am not going to let you reduce the discussion to divisiveness over race. I refuse. Or gender, or pick your woke topic of the day. But it's getting out of hand, and it's really dividing us in a way I think is dangerous.
So let's talk about what those people without platforms should do or could do. So you've got your show, you've got your podcast, we've got this radio show, we've got our YouTube. We're approaching 30 million views, 3 million listeners every single day. For those who don't have those platforms, can you share with them what is your message? Because I get this every day that people have despaired. They've given up. People have said to me, I'm not voting ever again. I'm just not voting ever again. That's not a good way to proceed, is it, Megyn?
No. You got to vote. I mean, look, no system is perfect. That doesn't mean you don't try. And I think that, the Republicans' apathy down in Georgia cost us divided government, right? Like we could have had divided government. I think whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, I think most Americans would prefer divided government. They don't want to give the keys of power over to just one party. Things don't tend to go well, and it always tends to correct itself when we do that. So that was as a result of people staying home. You got to get out there and try. There's no excuse for not trying. And when it comes to individual cases and cancel culture and being told, you're literally being told that you're a white supremacist because you happen to be born with a certain pigmentation over which you had no control, you have to fight back. I mean, I really think it has to be to the point where we say, you're out of line. That's racist. That is a racist message. And I think we need lawyers involved in this, because what they're shoving down our throats in corporate America and at the university level and even at K through 12 now can be fought in the courts. And I'm actually part of a group now, we'll be getting more public about this soon, that's going to try to organize for people who can't afford lawyers to go in there and fight these battles. But we need more groups like this so we can arm regular Americans with the tools they need, the language, the lawyers, so they know their rights. They don't have to be bullied into self-shaming all day long.
Yeah, I want to talk to you offline about that, because last week I had dinner with two lawyers who they were trying to have struck off the bar simply because they were assisting the President of the United States. And they said, we need an organization that can fight these battles when they come after you and try and excise you from your professional sphere.
Wait, so can I say something about that?
Yeah.
That's why it's like, I love America. I do like watching these inaugurations. It doesn't matter whether I voted for the guy or maybe gal getting inaugurated or not. They make me feel patriotic, so I love them. But the truth is, while Joe Biden said a lot of stuff about unity today, behind the scenes, his team is preparing lists of Trump, don't think you're safe if you were not in the administration.
Yeah.
His enablers, they're using that term, his enablers are going to get it too. So that's not unifying. That's not going to get anybody behind his agenda, and they know that. So why do it? Because they want to punish. They're looking to punish people who supported him. They haven't learned anything.
And just one very simple piece of math that I learned when I was teaching regular warfare. When you have millions of people and a government tries to suppress their voice simply because of a political disagreement, that way leads perdition. And we're seeing it, whether it's AOC, whether it's the lists, whether it is the deprogramming from Katie Couric or others, it is not going to end well. In the meantime, improve your knowledge. Get the best analysis from our good friend Megyn Kelly. Subscribe to her podcast, watch her show, The Megyn Kelly Show, and also follow her on Twitter. God bless you. She's already said, she promised in the break that she's going to come back for a long chat live on YouTube, no commercial breaks. We're going to hold her to it. Happy New Year. God bless. Please keep doing what you do.
I'm
Sebastian
So
Gorka.
good to
This
see you.
is America First on the Salem Radio Network.